Sean, I was nervous. I'm sorry I drank so much at your wedding. Welcome to Tales from the Ditch with Seth. There's a clap. Seth and Sean. Send emails to talesfromtheditch@gmail.com. Today we have Marq Caceres, old friend, multiple PhDs, friend of the show, discussing things. He fresh out on bail, out of jail, California dreaming.
Marq with a Q.
As soon as he's hitting the scene.
Q-A-R-K.
I have, hold on. All right. So I have a story. Well, do you want to tell a tale or me? Because I have a question for Marq, and I have a dominant, abrasive personality. So what do you think, Sean?
Go for it, Seth. Do it.
Because Sean has an enabling personality. So, I have a question. It'll be after his tale, Marq. So I want you to get ready.
Okay.
The tale. And once again, we always have to say this because some of you are redonkulous. I'm not affirming what I'm about to say. So, this isn't necessarily a tale from the ditch. Sean's wedding. And many weddings, but I'm going to point out Sean's wedding. I was kind of nervous that my friend was getting married. To be honest, I was a little jealous because I was like, I thought I'd be married and Sean was getting married. You were 19 or 20?
19.
You're all 12. I'm like, oh.
Child bride.
So I get told, since I'm the best man, and the ceremony was at Rancho?
Yeah, Rancho San Rafael Park.
Oh, we're breaking rules because once again, I'm saying a place no one knows about unless you live in Reno. Well, tough. Sorry to our Bulgarian listeners.
You could Google it.
You can Google it.
It'll come up.
We get back to the house where the reception is, and I know I have to make a speech. I'm super nervous. And a family member of the bride says he wants to drink. So I stole some rum. Now, in hindsight, not the best idea. I acknowledge that. But by the time I had to speak, I drank a whole bottle of rum by myself. And I didn't drink that much back then. I weighed 150 pounds. Seth don't weigh 150 pounds now. That's why elephantintheroom.com is about my weight gain. So I got up to give a speech. Best man speech. Now, the reason I'm bringing up this story is because I need help with this story. Because to be honest, Sean, I don't remember what I said or how I got home. Do you remember any of the speech?
I remember your speech was not terribly coherent, but I remember you said some meaningful things. Just meaningful words.
Like I'm all.
You're like,
apostrophe.
Love, brotherhood, never.
Oh, so it was basically a throwdown song.
Yeah.
Family, blood, forever.
Yeah.
Always persevere.
And, I remember you were, I think you were nervous, and I think I might have cried during it, but you were basically like, oh, I know that it's time for Sean to move on or something like that. And here we are, not moved on.
I stole stuff from like Boy Meets World. I'm like,
yeah.
And I knew when he met Topanga, cause here's the thing. I was nervous. So I get done and I walk over to my, the person I wanted to marry at the time who didn't work out. And that's fine because my wife is freaking amazing. Like she is. But I was like, how did I do? And I can only describe her look as confusion and disdain.
Disappointment.
And Josh Schrock's look as confusion and disdain. And then I said, can you drive me home? Because I'm just tired. That was my way of, I'm being clever. She won't know I'm tanked. And I was just but I really was drinking because I was like, I don't know if I can deal with this. I thought it was the end.
It was weird.
And and then I woke up at home to quote John Mulaney. And I remember about the speech, I think I brought up the Bible says if you die for your friend, like it was John, but I was butchering it of there's no greater love than to die for a friend of all. And Sean would do that stuff. And I looked at her dad, his wife's, dad, who I think later, he was in biker gang. And I was like, yeah. And just glared at him for a minute or two. So I remember offending people. I remember not remembering it.
There was a lot of this raised hand, like
I raised my hand a
Judd
lot.
Nelson at the end of Breakfast Club, but there was a bottle in your hand.
Yeah.
And so you're raising your hand and talking into the mic at the same time. There's a lot of that posturing.
I just
which
remember
I appreciated.
waking up saying, I really hope I didn't say anything terrible. And then looking at my apartment going, well, this is how your life turned out.
I do remember at one point you turned to the audience, and I can't even remember what you were talking about, but what you were like saying was like, did you? Did you? And you were like accusing the audience of something. You were like, oh, a lot of people thought that, you know, maybe Sean's too young to get married or something. Didn't you? And then you'd point to somebody, you'd be like, you did! It was
I
awesome.
didn't know any of them. And the thing is this. All right, this goes back to Josh Schrock's wedding. And here's the thing. I threatened someone for my wedding because they didn't RSVP everyone that they said they were going to come. And I felt like they were just inviting random people. And I was like, that's going to cost us money. And I literally told someone, I was like, if he does that, I'm going to throw him off the top of a parking garage. I was, all right, I'd only been a Christian a little bit. I still had some rough edges. And when I think back, I go, I was way worse at weddings. I was terrible at Josh Schrock's wedding.
Yeah.
I was terrible at your wedding. I didn't show up to a few of them. I actually missed one because I was in jail one time. So what I'm trying to say is, if you believe in your dreams, you can become a pastor one day. But all right, I just want to say for all the listeners, Sean, I was nervous. I'm sorry I drank so much at your wedding. And to the relative of your lovely wife, I'm sorry I stole that for us because him and I think we're punching through a fence at the end of the night, you know, like kicking down neighbors' fences. On Sean's special day, I was like, here's how I'll reward our friendship by ruining it. So,
oh, man.
So Mazel Tov.
Yeah.
So, Mark, I want to know, and this is directly related to it, what's the movie you're looking forward to most in the next season?
Oh man, so Black Panther
Yeah.
Yes.
This Friday.
Man, dude,
Yeah.
the soundtrack
is amazing.
It's got
is
Kendrick.
so good.
Did you hear one of them has a speech where it says the revolution will not be televised over a hip hop beat?
Yeah.
And the cast is predominantly people of color, shot a lot of it in Africa
yeah.
with a developed villain and a character. Do you know what my son, all right, so here's the cool thing. My son is Dutch Korean. He said, Dad, I want to be Black Panther for Halloween. I said, why? He said, because that's the hero everyone wants to be. In 2018,
Yeah,
the hero
so
everyone wants to
finally.
be
That's awesome,
is an
yeah.
African-American man who is educated, powerful, rich, with think of that. That's who the kids want to be. Dude,
Yeah.
if Martin Luther King saw it, he's all, that Martin Luther King, I feel like would swear. He's like, that is awesome. He'd say something like high five me and then punch someone in the face.
So yeah, no, and I was gonna say, I think it's so cool that like they're portraying Wakanda as a highly intelligent, highly
Sophisticated.
Not a wasteland.
yeah, exactly,
Yep.
and also to super technically advanced, but also still tied to the culture that they hold dear. Like
Yeah.
it's not like a whitewash.
That's right.
Yeah, no, and I am so stoked for it. You know,
Tanishi Coates, is that how you say his name? I think.
I want to say it is Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Ta-Nehisi Coates, his run on Black Panther, he showed Wakanda as this beautiful, advanced civilization. Because here's the other thing people don't know, and my dad went to parts of Africa after he retired. Dude, everyone thinks Africa is just this wasteland. There are beautiful, advanced parts with companies and corporations, and we think it's just a country to give our, pity to. No, Africa has some amazing places there. Like,
Well, so, and I mean, a lot of people actually consider Africa the cradle of civilization,
Yeah.
with like a lot of the things that we call, hardcore Western ideals actually coming from places like Egypt, like all the other places from Africa,
Right.
and actually spreading out to, all the other places.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm super stoked for it. Like, I love Black Panther as a character. I love the portrayal that, I love the trailers that I've seen. And also, too, that soundtrack is just amazing.
Chadwick Boseman, have you seen him in Marshall? He's not, this is not, here's the thing, people might accuse it of this. This is not tokenism. This is not they just put him in that role. He can act.
Yeah.
He is, to quote Dave Chappelle, he spits hot fire. Like in Marshall, he killed it. And when I saw him in Civil War fighting, and even some people even said his accent, they're like, that's pretty close. Dude, he kills it. They made a character where my son, he walked into school with his costume because it was costume day. And the kids who were 6 years older than him went, no joke. Everyone stopped talking and went, dude, he came as Black Panther. And they're 12. And you know what my son did? Maverick puffed out his chest and kept walking to his cubby, put his backpack away. And they go, are you T'Challa? And Maverick went, yep. And seriously, puffed out his chest, walked to teacher, sat down. And he's eating waffles, pulls up his mask. And he looked at the older kids. He's like, and kept eating. And it was so awesome that, dude, kids older than him are going, dude, you got to be Black Panther. Think of that. Imagine the 50s being like, oh, I'm going to go as a black superhero. In 2017, when he did this, they went, dude, that's the guy to be. I love that. Yeah. Representation also matters. I love that we can go, look, another person who God made this design, this culture. Maverick was like, that's who I want to be. I want to be Black Panther. I said, why? He said, because he goes, Daddy, he goes, he's brave, he's heroic, he goes, he's the smartest, he goes, who else would I want to be? Yeah. Yes, that's awesome.
Well, so, and I mean, on Twitter and also on Instagram, I follow a lot of African American thought leaders and stuff like that.
Awesome.
And especially with the Black Panther movie, they're like, hey, listen, now I know how white people feel when they go see the Avengers.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I see Captain America, I'm like,
They're like, yeah, I can relate. And
Dude.
see, and I mean, it's great. I think it's great. And I know that there's been, a lot of conversation of, a lot of conversation in regards to over diversifying or having diversity for the sake of diversity. And I don't think that Black Panther solves any of the racial tension that we have. It's still very deep and complex, but I mean, I think it's a small start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? And here's the thing. This is the thing I feel like that gets lost is, and this is the whole pendulum swing. Now it seems we have a culture where if it's not 100% everything that needs to happen, we can get cynical. Versus saying Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, every step that was a step, they're like, oh, that's a victory.
Yeah.
And it's weird because Black Panther, I saw some people go, well, everything still sucks. I go, okay, well, would you rather it not exist? Because right now, here's the thing. This is what I like. It normalizes that being black is not, oh, he's a minority character. No, he's a character.
Yeah.
He is a hero. It's not, oh, he's a minority hero. It's, he's a hero. And I love that because it's true. It is not, here's the funny thing, this is what I laugh at. There are whole continents of people who don't look like me. Spoiler, I'm as pale as the moon. And yet we go, well, they're the minority. In your area, in the world, they're a nation. They're a continent. It is not, it's like saying, well, you're a Chinese minority. Go to China. They're not exactly. The minority.
Pretty sure they're 1.2 billion people in China?
They are, this is what I like about why I bring up the Imago Dei, the idea of being made in the image of God. We don't give people dignity and worth, we affirm it. They already have it. And this movie is bringing it up looking good. Look, stop dehumanizing, stop saying they're not. No, look, this is affirming it, remembering, hey, there's cultures other than you, languages other than you. They've done just fine without you, and there's millions and sometimes billions of them. To just say, well, they're a minority. No. Just because you live in Hackensack, Kansas, whatever. I don't even know. Just because you live there and you go, well, they're a minority here. Go to some other nation and they go, actually, when you come in here, you look odd to us.
Yeah.
It's people don't know this. In the Asian culture, there's a term for round eyes. I found that out being married to my wife, which it was said passively aggressively where I asked my wife and she's like, which, by the way, asked the story of when her mom wanted to watch Gran Torino with her and me, which was not comfortable. Not comfortable. My wife's like, why are they saying egg roll? But we only have our perspective. So to me, I go, well, they're the minority. No. We are humans with dignity and worth. And I love that this movie's shown they have agency, their own intelligence. Yeah. They don't need us to colonize them. They don't need us to fix them. They are humans and we are seeing him. And I love that he is just this hero. He is a butt kicker. Dude, the fights, look, the color scheme. Yeah. Dude, Black Panther and Infinity War are what I'm looking forward to.
I'm super stoked for Infinity War.
Dude, Black Panther looks... Yeah. To say that, this is going to sound so cheesy because I'm so square. Black Panther looks dope. It looks good.
Word.
It is so... I believe the Dutch term is da-da-da. But my dad's like, way to butcher our culture. I'm like, whatever. All we got is wooden shoes that hurt my ankles.
I had a similar experience, and I don't think Luke Cage did as much as Black Panther is going to do for, like you said, making that normal or regular.
Yeah.
But still, I watched Luke Cage, and a lot of people were like... a lot of people's comments were like, I just don't get it, or I don't really like the kind of blaxploitation feel that it had to it. But I remember watching it, and I was trying to watch it with as open of a mind as possible, and it came out right during like the Black Lives Matter stuff.
It was very much. That was
And
a year after Ferguson, I want to say
something like that.
Yeah,
where we were shooting people with tear gas. Anyway, go ahead.
I was trying to have like an open mind about it and just like enjoy it for what it is, as opposed to letting my bias sway my opinion. 'Cause like there is a tendency in me, unfortunately, that I haven't rooted out yet that wants to say, oh, this is an affirmative action character, or this is like the black version of the normal Defenders or something like that. And so I was trying to not do that as best as I can. And I wound up enjoying Luke Cage so much because of the different culture.
Bye, Felicia.
I appreciated the different culture. And it wasn't just that. It wasn't just like, I'm like, oh, I know this from popular black culture movies that I've also appreciated. But it was just, there was something like music was so important. Dude. And I've always thought I came from a subculture like we all did, where we're punk and stuff, and music is so important. And if you don't have like a Walkman and you're not able to like get deep and name obscure bands that nobody's heard of, like you don't know what's up.
Yeah.
But I realized in that moment that I feel like music doesn't mean to me as much as it does to the people portrayed in Luke Cage, and like the culture finding importance of that. And they have this weird flashback scene in Luke Cage where it goes back to like, you know, like doo-wop corner something or other. And I'm just like, I hated that music and I hate that whole thing, and I hate flappers too, to be fair.
Racist.
But I just, it didn't make sense until I watched Luke Cage for some reason, and something clicked where I said, wow, this is a different culture and I can appreciate it for being different and not, accuse it for not being the same, or even accuse it for trying to be patronizing,
or feel
but I can
threatened
just
by it.
or especially feel threatened by it, but I can just appreciate it and enjoy it. And it was kind of cathartic for me, because I remember like a lot of people being like, and I'm not saying that they're not as intelligent or have as deep of a connection, but a lot of people were just like, oh, it's just not my thing. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But man, I loved it. I loved every bit of it. I loved almost every character in Luke Cage. And it was strange. Like the way the story went and the way it was directed was strange to me. And I liked that. I was surprised by it, and I really enjoyed that. So that's just my little story about enjoying, African-American role model.
Marq, what do you think about, because you've grown up an African-American male in America?
Most of my life, yes.
and by the way, we're joking. If you didn't listen to other episodes, shame on you. Marq is pouring his heart out, and you're probably listening to John Mayer, who sucks, and Nickelback. You're What's Wrong with America. Hey, Mark. Actually, I want to ask you this. So, what do you think about if someone says, and I just want to hear your opinion on it. Someone says, "Why does representation matter? Who cares? Like, what's the big deal?" What do you think? And even maybe work it out, because representation, like if my son as a Korean sees that the new Hulk is Amadeus Cho, he goes, wait, he said this to me. He said, he's like me, daddy. And I said that because he looked at the eyes. I said, yeah. He goes, he smiled because he goes, he has eyes like me. I go, exactly. All right. So what do you think about representation? Does it matter? Is it downplayed? Is it overplayed? What do you think?
No. So, and I mean, I actually almost started to tear up a little bit when you were telling that story about your son, just because, like, I know that, growing up, like, a lot of the heroes that I liked were just normal white dudes. Yeah. But, like, I'm not a normal white dude. I'm a Hispanic American. Right. And, one of my favorite characters is Spider-Man, who's a very brainy, albeit white individual. Yep. But now I have someone else to potentially look up to with, the introduction of I apologize. With the introduction of Miles Morales.
He doesn't apologize to you. You can suck it up. We love Marq. Go ahead. Who is half Puerto Rican, half African American.
That's right. And I mean, it's being able to, and I mean, I as of now don't have kids. I would like to have kids. And my kids are going to grow up in a culture where they're half Hispanic, half white. And I would like for them to have the same experience that, I would like for them to have the same experience that Averick has, and also that, Andrew has, when they can point to a screen or they can point to a toy. Yeah. Be like, that's like me. And that's awesome, because that shows me that I can be something more powerful than the actual, than just being a human being.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
And I mean, I think that, having representation, I mean, it's kind of like a two-way street, because like if it's a little bit forced, it's easy to tell when it's forced.
We don't want tokenism or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It becomes racist kind of quick.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, hey, this is my black friend Jamil, and he's in like 3 scenes out of 20.
Daewon Green, the blackest name.
But I mean, if it's like actually genuine and stuff, it allows people to have a place in not only popular culture, but feel that they have a place in the society, because our society has kind of turned very much into a society of pop culture.
Well, and even when we were kids, I can't think of, I'm trying to think of shows that we would watch when we were kids. You had Captain Planet, which tried to loosely represent.
I was bummed out because, like, I was the kid that was stuck with Heart.
Yeah,
like I was like, oh yeah, I can make a monkey like me.
I was white Republican, and even I was like, that's a BS.
And wasn't he Indian though?
No,
was he?
No. I want to say that he was from the jungles of Guatemala.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought he was like.
What was his name?
It was Mate.
Was it really?
That's so racist.
I think so. I think so.
White people.
And then, like, even
a guy with a mullet's gonna save the planet.
X-Men was great, and you eventually had Bishop, but for most of it, it's like. Yeah. You have a Creole guy represented, but you don't have anybody else but white people.
Cher, let's talk in this French language. Yeah. She's all so diverse.
Oh, mon ami. I want to touch you, but
and they're all American. They're just from different parts of the
I'm diverse. States. I'm Canadian. We're like, oh, the whiter people.
Yeah. well, no. So, and I mean, like, I was super stoked when they introduced X-23, because I'm like, sweet, a Hispanic Wolverine.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it was great.
Yeah.
Cinematically speaking.
Sunspot is, where, now I know he's South American, but I can never remember if it's Mexico or they went further down into Latin America.
I think they went further down. I'm not 100%
because he's Roberto Costa, right? I thought it was Roberto Costa.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. Like, I mean,
He leads a team now. I'm just pumped on that. I mean,
well, yeah, no. But like, when we were growing up, we were like, hey, here's the X-Men and Sunspot.
Sunspot, no. He's fair. He's fair. He didn't even have a main thing, and Bishop was just a time traveler. And now, see, this is why. Look, I don't want to downplay how far we have to go because it's people. Look, this is a marathon, not a sprint. But Sunspot finally is leading an Avengers team. You had
he's from Brazil, by the way.
All right, so Brazilian.
He owns AIM now.
He owns AIM. He's leading
nice.
Avengers team. They had Storm leading an X-Men team. They had Angela, who, oh my gosh, she has all types of story going on. And here's the thing. It's not that we don't have far to go, but this is one thing that I felt has been lost in this next generation is Martin Luther King wasn't compromising saying we don't still have far to go. Which, by the way, hey, people who quote him all the time on Facebook, he was pacifist. He had issues with your capitalism. Bring up those quotes,
He
too.
loved Dodge trucks.
Yeah. So
my
much.
gosh.
I mean, because as a servant, you will drive a
Made me
Dodge truck.
So here's the thing. He knew we had far to go, but he still would count the little victories. Dude, we had, where I looked, we had 2 Avengers teams led by a person of color win in the 60s. We have to admit, and this isn't just emotion, 99% of Avengers and X-Men were white. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't, and that's not to downplay that I love them now, but even Stan Lee was like, yeah, it was pretty white.
Yeah, he's like, or like extremely stereotypy. Like, I'm looking at you,
so
Warpath.
bad.
Dude, Blue Marvel.
Warpath.
so
Blue Marvel.
strong.
Blue Marvel knocked out Sentry, and he comes from the 60s era.
Yeah.
He's a new character, and here's the thing I loved. He wasn't tokenism. They've made him lead a team, and he's shown as an intelligent, brilliant African-American man who can beat up Thor. And I go, yes! I'm just pumped, dude. Blue Marvel, I want to literally have a comic where he fights every strong person just so I can know rankings. Not even a story. Just so I can know if he can beat up people. I think he knocked out Ultimate Hulk in one shot.
What?
Hulk says, I'm the strongest there is, Ultimate Hulk. And Blue Marvel hit him and says, yeah, well, that's debate. And drops him in one shot. And Ultimates, the whole team from that different universe goes, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Blue Marvel is, oh, dude, I'm getting a social justice high right now on him. That's the sponsored by. What was the company you wanted me to bring up? It had something to do with diuretics. What was it? Oh, Scientology. Sponsored by Scientology. When your lie isn't enough.
Diuretics.
What was it? They do? Was it
Scientologists?
calisthenics? Was it? Was it?
Oh, thetanology? What did they do,
I
Mark?
think it's Dianetics.
Diuretics.
Diuretics is something totally different.
Is that ab workout? What is it?
I think that's like, I think Pepto-Bismol is a diuretic, right?
I am taking
And also
on the
coffee
man.
is a
If you
diuretic.
want the whitest of the white, Scientology. That's like
For real. I do actually want to call out Scientology for this reason.
Whoa.
We're going to expose your lies unless you pay us to stop exposing your lies. And then we will gladly take a large sum of money and never podcast
totally.
again.
I will sell out. Look, all right.
We made a
As
mistake
quick
a
as
long time
possible.
ago.
I know.
We could have sold out.
I will
remember?
sell
Yeah.
out like, dude, I'll do, all right. Yeah, so, all right. Just on the DL. Tide, Powerade,
Died.
any of them. Kirk Cameron, Old Spice. I will say anything you want if it means my little Korean Dutch kids go to college.
Yep.
At a let's say moderately
I have,
priced college.
I have a Prayer of Jabez book on the shelf that I'd be willing to get out and read.
Listen, I don't have to do what he says. But if you want on the DL,
I was saying, if the price is right, everyone has a price.
oh,
30
I will,
pieces of silver.
If it means my son gets some gold lace braces, I'll just my braces sucked.
I just want those Steve Zissou Adidas, man. Those look so awesome.
Mark, I got a question.
Those are so hard to find.
I know.
All right, this is important.
Okay.
And this will be a question that defines you. And I'm going to ask Sean too. If a goose comes up to you with a top hat to talk to you, and you go, oh, this is all magical. It's a goose with a top hat. But then he said something in some terrible screeching tone like The Ring, or his voice sounded like babies laughing in the darkness, or children crying. How would you deal with this goose with a top hat?
So basically, anytime I encounter a goose, fair.
Like, think of Silent Hill. The goose
Yeah.
comes up and opens its mouth. You're, oh, it's cute. And the whole world goes
Demons
dark
come out.
and there's ashes. And you
And
just
there's
hear
just, like,
children
a bunch
laughing
of, like,
in the darkness.
strange tentacles coming out
And
of
then
his
you
mouth
look-
when he opens.
And you realize you're alone in the forest, but it's all burning, but you don't see the fire. And the goose is looking at you and its jaws dropping lower and lower. And all you hear is children. And you say, how may I take your order? No. How would you deal with that goose? How would you deal with the goose, Mark?
Man, it's-
because I've had nightmares about this.
Like, no, in all honesty, it's like you have tapped into one of my darkest nightmares. No, like, I'm not even lying. Like, I have, like, huge gripes with geese. Probably first prey. Like, yes, I would probably pray. Then
Good answer.
after realizing that clearly hell has spilled onto earth, accept whatever punishment was coming towards me.
What if this goose... All right, let me ask you this. What if a part of you said, I could take him? Would you take the life of this goose?
So, okay. Super
Lay
funny,
it out, Mark.
It's a super funny story. I know that geese are straight up rough.
I hit one with a potato bag once to protect my wife. I'm just saying it was to protect my wife.
So at my old job, I was coming back from a class, right? And a goose, saw my car and for some reason thought it was a threat. It then proceeded to crash into my car while I was going 5 miles an hour, which was enough to jar it. It then landed, spread its wings in full attack mode, and just defecated everywhere, showing me its dominance. Like, that goose basically said, I can take on your Scion XP. And it did.
I seriously hit one into orbit because we were trying to feed them bread, and my wife goes, oh, sorry, all out. And it charged at her, bite her, and I swung with this uppercut like Thor with his hammer. I had a bag of bread, and it went, and tried to bite her, and it barely missed, and she's like about to cry. Bam! Caught in the face, and it flew forward, and I went like step sideways like I was going to throw a sidekick and ran off. But I will say I've also punted a goose. I'm not saying it's right. But I clocked it with the uppercut of a bread bag, sourdough, just so you know. And that thing seriously launched a little bit. But I was like, if you try to come after my wife again, don't ever talk to me or my son again.
I actually have a question about this.
Goose.
I also have a goose. A goose bit me once
Only because I said it just now.
I was young, and my only understanding of geese was to use them as like croquet, like in Alice in Wonderland. And so I tried to do that, and I got bit hard, and I bled from
You
it.
tried to pick up a goose by the
Why would
feet?
you pick his...
By the neck.
That's it. Wait. Oh, I guess.
Shad's like, oh, I'm sure gonna wally mop this ball.
Yeah. So, but here's a question. Here's another little item of Christian nomenclature that I think we have all misunderstood, that animals, because they're not created in the image of God, don't have souls. And so killing animals has no consequence whatsoever. Do you remember being told this? I remember being told this, like, oh, shooting rabbits, you shouldn't be sad for rabbits because they don't have souls. And we're Christians and we don't believe they have souls, so it's totally okay to slaughter rabbits.
Oh, yeah, no, I remember my mom telling me when I was a kid, I was like, hey, do you think my dog went to heaven? She's like, no, there's no dogs in heaven.
Yeah. Yeah, why was it so important to make that distinction?
Exactly. It's like, line in the sand. Like, humans, yes. Animals, nah.
And especially when you see the redeemed earth has lions and lambs sitting together, it's just like lions and lambs, no dogs.
No dogs, no cats, definitely no geckos.
Yes, right? So here's my question.
I had a gecko who murdered my father. Gecko!
Here's my question, gentlemen. Seth, you're a pastor.
Whatever.
Mark, you're a master of accounting. Tell me, of business,
Yeah. So
Master of business.
Well, so it's accounting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will there be dinosaurs in heaven?
Yeah.
Yeah, there would have to be.
Okay. Thank you.
So, like, okay, so, like, I mean, from a just straight up, like, if I was God, right, and I created these awesome creatures, why would I want them kicking around in heaven?
Yeah, I don't understand.
And I mean, and unfortunately, I don't have anything biblical to back this up.
Well, I do know that dinosaurs were actually lies. Their bones were put in the ground by Satan to trick Christians.
I keep forgetting this. Falwell or
Falwell.
Falwell?
Yeah.
All right. Falwell. All right. Falwell said that. That's his logic. Here's the thing. Here's my biblical answer why I believe. No. Here's my perspective, because I hate when people say biblical, because if anyone disagrees with them, the implication is they're unbiblical and that no one can disagree with you. It's a passive-aggressive way to shut down arguments. My opinion and my interpretation is God shows in Revelation that he hasn't given up on his creation and that he doesn't have this thing of, some of them I made, but I just throw it away. I think when he says he'll fully redeem, that means everything. Every single thing he's ever created will be brought to redemption. Where we can look at every race, and that's a social construct, every ethnicity and the human race, every creature, every being, and they will not only be redeemed, they'll be greater than when we saw them. I absolutely think they'll be dinosaurs, and not only will I high-five them, but they will agree with me that Carrot Top's movies were garbage. Mm-hmm. And that, by the way, he juiced. That wasn't just good diet.
No, yeah.
Do you know there's something you can pump into your muscles? It's like a liquid or even air to make them look bigger.
Yeah.
And it's super unhealthy.
Yeah.
Carrot Top, you listen to this podcast, you've emailed me. I'm calling you out. Debate me on infant baptism. Go ahead, Sean.
I don't know if I have anything to say. I'm glad that somebody affirms both that dinosaurs will be in heaven
pastor.
And also that in Job it talks about a brontosaurus.
So
it absolutely does.
It does.
So, and I was going to say too, like, if heaven has angels, right, and angels are these unknowable things to the actual human mind, like they're
right.
like, you know, these crazy wills with like a ton of eyes and 7 wings and all this stuff.
Yeah,
and like 12 butts.
Yeah, you know, like, which would you rather be greater than heaven, a T-Rex? Or a seraphim.
That's a good point. Very good point. This is part of the reason that I think I have struggled to worship God with honesty in my heart, is because part of me feels like heaven or the everlasting life with God isn't that interesting. And part of it is my inability to understand like how precious and amazing Jesus is, and spending any minute with him is way better than spending time with dinosaurs, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I have a human inability to like really imagine the implications of that. But the other part is I feel like to our generation, like the post-Jesus movement, you know, sons and daughters of baby boomers, they did not explain heaven well or capture the amazingness of its beauty.
Disservice.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing this up. I'll stop because you're talking to my wheelhouse now.
Oh, sorry. No, it's your wheelhouse. Take it away. Well, I just want to say that, you know, I've heard like that heaven is a place in the sky that we go to when we die. That is not what the Bible says.
Yeah.
And so like, this redeemed earth, like you were saying, Seth, where God comes back and he redeems all his creation. He makes all the sin go away, and what it was originally intended for, and all the beauty and amazingness and like colors that we don't even know, I think is what you said. There's like going to be colors, Seth, that we don't even know what they are, and we'll be able to finally see them because sin hasn't tainted them or something like that. Like all of that amazing beauty and like cool stuff that's going to happen, was never brought to my attention as a young man pursuing Christianity. And all I was told was there's no dogs or bunnies in heaven because they don't have souls.
Yeah.
Only Republicans are going to heaven, and there's not going to be time to ask questions because how dare you ask questions in heaven because blah, blah, blah.
Well, so, and it's funny because like, me and my wife actually got into an argument about this because she's like, because she, and this is super blasphemous, but she's like, heaven sounds stupid. And I'm like, it's heaven. It's like
paradise.
Yeah, exactly. It's eternal perfection. She's like, yeah, but what my dad told me is all we do is hang out in heaven and sing to God all day. She's like, that's lame, right? And I'm like, where does it say that scripturally? Like, yes,
Right.
it says that, you know, we will be in awe and in reverence of God.
Right.
But like nowhere does it say like, hey, listen, we're gonna all just sing Kumbaya for eternity.
Right.
And it's like these weird things that people try to construct to try to, what's the word I'm looking for? Try to rationalize what eternity is.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Which is impossible, obviously. Like parts of Revelation that I'm thinking of is described as a city, like a big cubic city, the New Jerusalem, where there's like a river running through the middle and there's a big tree with fruit all the time and blah, blah, blah. Like all of those things are such awesome things, but I was never introduced to those things. I had to stumble upon them myself because for some reason there's this reason that our parents didn't want to tell us about that, and I don't understand it. I want to know your thoughts, Seth.
So, alright, this is, gosh, I'm so biased in this. I want you right now to use your imagination and think about, and I've told people this, you know, a summer night where it's so beautiful and you're just enjoy and you're having fun, or a movie or a story, and you just read it and go, I wish this couldn't end, but you know it has to. Because you feel this, like, pulling of, like, well, there's school in a month, or I have work, or I have a stress, and it always ends. But with heaven, with the new heaven, new earth, and I say that because earth will be redeemed too, the whole cosmos. And I want you, even some of the people who have done drugs, or even gotten drunk, you want this ecstasy, you want something beyond you. You want to have your insecurities gone and lose the pain. And for a second, you want to feel fully human, beyond what you were. Because you know this isn't enough. And you know it. I just want you to think of this. You're there and you know it. I think you know in your hearts. It's beautiful. Everything around you. Picture the earth. Look at it. But take away the smog. Take away pollution. Take away the racism, the genocide. And think of spires and buildings and nobility and just structure reaching up through the skies, and doesn't end at the skies because then it's on to the universe. The stars no longer explode or die because they're just shining. The planets you have open access to. Artists, they're told, show glory in eternity. Show it in some amazing way. Worship isn't just some paper. Worship is with your very soul you're singing, and you hear a billion other notes, and it's other people's souls singing together. And in one sense, you can feel your own soul, but you feel all those coming together in some symphony. And while you're pouring into them, every single one of them can feel your note hitting them in the heart. You feel all theirs hitting you in the heart. And you're not worried about work or stress or anxiety or racism or pain or loss. You just go, this is it. This is where I want to be. I was meant to be. And I just want more. And every second you're given more. And every second it's a better story. And every second it's a better song. Those songs that you cried to in middle school or high school, those songs that meant something, it's a better song. But it doesn't make you weep. It brings you joy and ecstasy. And the ecstasy doesn't end. It increases. An artist, God says, look at the stars and bring something. Make a creation that glorifies me even more. Go to this crazy planet we haven't been to and build something and design. The engineer, the mathematician, even, the person who's structural. Or if you take the person, think of this, the police officer no longer has to monitor morals. He can seriously go around going, are you having joy? Are you having worship? And actually call them to peace. And the soldier no longer has PTSD. And worship, you're seeing beings rushing around you where you're all singing in joy, and the dinner never ends. And you feel love, and you're whole, and you can finally say, this is what I was meant for. And you feel it. I believe in your heart. I believe in your heart. Even right now, you're listening going, oh no. I want to challenge you. It's because part of you is scared to hope for it. That there's something that beautiful because everything else has let you down. That imagine it's the greatest love you ever felt. Even the first time you had someone embrace you and kiss you times 1,000,000, and it grows every second, and you look and you say, joy was real. and I had a purpose, I had meaning. And you look back and all the pain, all the suffering, it's like a shadow, it's like a whisper. And you can actually look at God, and you're walking, and it's a summer day, it's a spring celebration, and He's behind you, and He says, no, this doesn't end. He goes, hi, I am here just to listen with you and embrace you. And the warmth doesn't leave. The echo returns. And what if that could be real? What if this is why I risk everything as a pastor. This is why I'm willing to give my whole life to this, because heaven isn't boring. If you think of Lord of the Rings, if you think of beautiful movies, if you think of books that have inspired you, if that's what humans can do you not think God can be that much more creative? That seriously, it is the greatest painting, story, love, feeling you've ever felt. And any drug, any battle, any conflict you've had, any victory doesn't match up to the fact that you can live in this and literally feel the love. Where I've had dreams of this place, and I don't think they were just dreams. I think it was my soul finally just reminding me, one day this will be made home. It's not this far off planet. It's not this, you leave and ditch all the non-Christians and the terrible people. It's heaven breaks in. It doesn't call us, we abandon. He comes to us just like He did with the gospel, breaks in, and you look and go, finally, all the struggle, all the depression, anxiety, I'm me, and you get to finally be you. And how beautiful is that? And that to me is a new heaven and new earth. And if that's it, if that's the end, I can follow that. I can believe in that. I can love that. And I can tell my sons about that, because I don't care who you are. That's something where one day you can walk in and say, all people, all races, all groups, all ethnicities, all sexes, all genders can literally go, yeah, of course. Why would I want anything else? So that's what I see with new heaven, new earth. I think
Word.
You shouldn't have asked me that.
No, that was
pretty
amazing.
Good. I don't know what to talk about now.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. No,
You brought up the wrong subject.
It was good. Thank you for that. I think that, this is a hope that we have, and it's something that's worth discussing. And for some reason, I feel like it's the last thing that people want to discuss, and I don't know why. But it's an important thing, and I think that we should be more open to it. We got to wrap this up, so we have 2 more questions for Marq.
For Marq, yeah, I don't want...
One question. Is your favorite book still The Catcher in the Rye?
No, actually, it's not.
Thank God.
Yeah, no. That was very much determined when I was a less than stellar human being. I know that Holden now is just kind of the ultimate manifestation of what every scumbag, like every scumbag male, basically thinks the world is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I'm so glad. Because I read that book again recently, and I just don't think I get it.
Well,
I'm like, is that a job? Is there always cliffs on rye fields? Why do you put a rye field on a cliff? And if you do, you couldn't do a fence. You had to get a catcher. And I was just like, I understand this is supposed to be good writing, but I just don't get it.
So, I mean, it was I think it was very provocative for the time. But ultimately,
back when rye fields were still on cliffs.
exactly. And I mean, it was okay for you to have a torrid love for
with a minor.
Yeah, exactly.
The
things
good
were
old
different.
days.
Things were different. Let's just say
Right.
things were different. And in hindsight, it actually hasn't been my favorite book for quite some time.
Awesome. What is your favorite book now?
As it stands right now, oh man, there's so many. Half of the top of my head, man, I'm trying to think.
It's a hard question to answer.
Yeah.
Especially when you read a lot.
Have you ever read Paradise Lost by John Milton, which is the rebellion of Satan against God?
Yes.
I read that when I was 9, and I looked at my mom and said, why am I reading this? We have Berenstain Bears. No, Berenstein Bears. It was Berenstein. I don't care what you say about Berenstain. It said Berenstein when I was growing up. I defy you.
So yeah, no, actually, like, speaking of the Mandela effect, we actually pulled out our old book and we're like, maybe this is true, or maybe we're just all idiots.
It is weird, right?
So yeah, I would probably say,
What's one of your top 10 books?
so
How about that?
So I would probably say one of my top 10 books was The Crying of Lot 49.
Interesting. I've not read it.
To the wall.
What type of literature would you consider that?
So it is, so it's postmodernism.
Okay.
But it's not like the Chuck Palahniuk postmodernism.
You're a good man.
Which, like, that's more like postmodernism. So The Crying of Lot 49 is about a woman that inherits a specific lot of property, and it's her kind of coming to terms with not only the passing of the person that left it to her, but also the realization of how unhappy she is with her life.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good answer. Well, I think that leads us to our final question. Marq, cake or pie?
Oh man, it has always been pie. Like,
right?
Like, I mean,
Thank you.
Because you're a good person.
Like,
Because,
I mean,
yeah, you care about the gospel and millennialism.
so, and also too, like, cheesecake is a pie. Like, I'm sorry.
Right?
Like, it has a crust. Like, it's not a free-forming, standing piece of sponge nothingness. Like, it is a dense, crusted custard.
You don't frost it.
No.
You maybe put something on top, but it's not frosting.
Exactly. Well, so, and I mean, even if you do frost it, like, you also frost like a cream pie with, like,
That's a
you know,
good
whipped
point.
cream.
Very good point.
You know,
I think cheesecake stands in its own light as cheesecake. I think cheesecake is not really cake or pie, but it's more like a pie than a cake.
so I mean, it's kind of like a custard.
But is cheesecake your favorite?
No.
Or do you have a favorite pie?
No. I would have to say my favorite pie is probably coconut cream.
Dang. Nice. I love any.
Stop bringing your colonialism in this,
Sorry.
Sean.
I just have
apologize,
to say,
Marq.
I think we're blowing this thing wide open. I feel like cake has only survived on reputation alone.
Yeah.
I feel like cake is almost like. I feel like pie is like the Donald Trump of delicacies. And in the last minute, people are going to be surprised when they're going to be like, I didn't
David
realize
Beck
that many
is
people
so
like pie.
mad about what you're
No,
saying.
people
right
are going to
now.
be like, I guess the whole nation supports pie. And I had no idea. I thought people were cake people.
But, like, I mean, like, I think cake is something that's just like, I think it's something that's foisted upon you. Like, it's your birthday, have a cake. Like, if someone's like, hey, have a birthday pie, I think my birthdays would have been a lot better.
I know,
like,
right? That's
like,
how I feel. A
yeah.
birthday pie should become a thing. We've done that the last couple of years.
I'm doing it from now on. Because
I'm just
I've
gonna
either for my birthday, my mom said, do you want cheesecake or pie? And I always said yes.
Yeah.
We don't judge here, and we're trying to the best we
Except
can
me.
to not make general insults towards a group of people. But I'm just going to say, if you like cake, you need to get with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. I just think that if you like cake, well, like, I mean, you know, like, was it Mighty Ducks 2 where they used cake eater as an insult?
I think so. Probably.
No, because I think it was
Maybe Wayne's World as well. They said cake eater. In it, I think.
Who was the kid that did the knuckle puck?
yeah.
No.
I can't remember.
Yeah, no, he's on Saturday Night Live. God, why am I forgetting his name?
Oh, dang it.
Anyways,
Is it Keenan? No, it's not Keenan. SNL?
yeah.
Andy Samberg. No.
No, you're thinking Goldberg, I think was his name, right?
No. It was the guy that's currently on SNL. He was the African American kid that came up with the knuckle puck, and they dressed him up as the goalie.
That's right.
They dressed him up as the goalie because they knew that Iceland was going to do heavy defense on him.
That's right.
You know, to stop the knuckle puck. Yeah. No, and he always called that one kid a cake eater.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he was weak.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I agree 100%. I think we've solved it. Maybe we don't even need to ask this question anymore. Pie is clearly superior to cake. Cake is something forced on you by lobster-back English folks who think they still own your country.
Bunch of fish
And
bellies.
in addition to that, if you replace cake with pie in any situation, that situation gets better.
You have been listening to 97.8 KRZQ with Sean Moss and Seth Wildshoot.
Woo!
That's
it?
I just want to say, if you have any issues, Sean forced us to say everything we did. talesfromtheditch@gmail.com.
talesfromtheditch@gmail.com. Thank you for not supporting Joel Osteen Ministries, and thank you, Marq, for being here tonight.
No, guys, thank you.